Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the Dracovin Empire. Join my hand. We're diving back into Golarion. Yes, it's time to return to the Pathfinder role-playing games world. I, your host here, Tantus Navigator Dracovin, are ready to introduce you to a little bit more of an ancestor. What do I mean this time? Well, I'm not talking about a unique ancestry. We're talking about humans here. I'm going to be talking about a human ethnicity, the Varki. So grab my hand. You might still need your greatsword, your spellbook, or your holy symbol. Maybe even a small dagger or a healing potion, because we're diving back into Golarion once more. Woo! Alright, adventurers, are you ready to learn about the Varki? Yes, human ancestry that there are a number of places that you can dive deeper into them. The Inner Sea World Guide goes over a lot of the human ethnicities, basically from 1st edition, and The Land of the Linnorm Kings is a great book to go into, because, well, yeah, they're mostly found in the Land of the Linnorm Kings. Not completely, but mostly there. And still, the Inner Sea Races also gives you an idea from 1st edition, and if you want to go into 2nd edition, World Guide does give you a little information. So, who are the Varki? Well, to say it easily, they're humans. They inhabit the north of Avastia in the Land of the Linnorm Kings, mostly in the region of Icemark. That is mostly where they are. It's not completely where they are. They're semi-nomadic, fishers, fur, reindeer herders, and interestingly enough, we have to talk about their connection to another ethnicity, the Erutaki. The Erutaki are directly related to them, and I will talk about the Erutaki in another video on their own, but just know that the Varki trace their history from them. The Erutaki, who are descendants of Tianians, who went over the crown of the world, that mixed with mountaineers of Varisia, in Varisian territory, to come up with their own blood. After generations, and mixing cultures and adapting to a region. Some of them traveled farther, away from the crown of the world, where they were inhabiting, to the Land of the Linnorm Kings. There, some more exiled Tianians, and some more Varisians, different groups of Varisians, who migrated northward. Again, Varisian as a region, there's a lot of different groups of them, but some are mountains, some are, they're all the Varisian people. But, this new group, getting new influx of Tianian culture, new influx of Varisian culture, came together and formed the Varki people. So yes, the Varki people and their original progenitor, the Erutaki, are still both descended from Varisians and Tianians. It's just they evolved into another culture over time after these two cultures met and mixed. And when some of those reached to another region, they mixed with more of their two parent ancestor ethnicities to come up with something still a little different. That's the evolution of the Varki people. And I think that's why it's important to talk about them on their own rather than include them, the Erutaki, because they are more than a subgroup of them, at least now. They've evolved in their own people. Many of them are druids, hunters, rangers, shamans. It ties into their deep connection to nature. Culturally, they are a semi-nomadic people. They travel frequently. Each tribe avoids the other in order to share resources and a region fairly. So it's basically they keep an eye on each other to know where they all are so they can spread out enough to keep things going. Each has their own customs, social beliefs, but marriage between tribes is a common. And it's basically in order to prevent inbreeding. And then to allow individuals to select a tribe more accepting of their own personal beliefs and inclinations. So it's kind of one of these things is they understand that they can't be insular with their small populations or bad. So they have to connect up with the others. But also because to allow this intermixing, they basically say like, hey, if you feel like the way we do things is not what you want, you are allowed to travel to that other tribe, to join with them, to marry into them, to find something there. So, you are not stuck with us. They're understanding. Universally, though, the Varki believe that with age comes wisdom and power. And so elders are respected above all else. Now, they are a very conservative people, and new ideas, especially from outsiders, are highly frowned upon. So keep that in mind, too. It's not like you couldn't convince them of something, especially something that would help them, but it would be an uphill battle. And just, you know the kind of people you're coming into. They have their way of life, they stick to it. Anyway, their diet consists mostly of meat, either from aurochs or caribou. Some limited farming does occur despite their harsh environment, but the food produced is a treat rather than a staple to diet. Scrimshaws, leathers, furs, and meat are their trade goods of their people. As part of their coming-of-age ceremony for children, they travel to the dangerous Ice Worm Hills and band together to hunt down one of the fierce beasts that dwell there. Ice Worm Hill are home to both remoras and frostworms, and the young Varki only hunt remoras since frostworms explode when killed. Once they've killed the remoras, the young hunters harvest his teeth and spines to make a renowned Varki scrimshaw. Now, we have to show our nice man here because we're talking about relationships, because this is a man who is of both Varki and Ulfin descent. Ulf Gumunder. Pronouncing his name is not easy for me. So, for a lot of years, especially because they are mostly in the land of the Linorm Kings, the Varki did not recognize any of the Linorm Kings. They just followed their caribou/reindeer herds across the northern plains, sometimes as far as Irison and the realm of the Mammoth Lords. As a decline in caribou forced them to engage in more trade, in contact with their Ulfin neighbors than they had ever before, tensions arose, and several of the tribes and their Ulfin neighbors. Ultimately, that's when we get to the current ruler of Icemark, who isn't technically the cultural leader of his people, Nanko, who slayed a Linorm, became Linorm King of Icemark, and basically got a little bit of respect from the Ulfin neighbors of the land of the Linorm Kings. The Ulfin were confused about this, but impressed by his feat. And again, he's half-heartedly king. It's for trade disputes. Really, the authority in the Varki people are their elders, more than anything, because those are their cultural and spiritual leaders, and make up what really understands the basic of their culture. So, yeah. He doesn't really exert his authority, but he is another important member of their people, just to keep in mind, since if you're going to do some kind of major trade, you probably want to go through him. So, he's out hunting most of the time, though, so it might be difficult to find. But that's kind of the idea that they have to have these relationships with others, and they do get in contact with places like in Irison and the realm of the Mammoth Lords, and because they're just wandering herders, they're mostly left alone, their own devices. They do their own thing. The Varki people are that way. They're their own people, and that's the interesting reason to talk about them and kind of dive into them a little bit here. Because, yeah, they have these 3 bloodlines, which kind of 2/3 bloodlines that really define where their culture kind of evolves from. But the region they live in defines it even more. They live in the cold north, and they, do what they do best. Hunt, fish, herd reindeer. Reindeer, they don't have ranches, they just let them do their thing and follow their migrations. They herd them as they travel. Probably look after these herds, make sure they're doing well, do things to help ensure the herds work properly, help out when needed, take a step back when not needed. They understand the animals. The majority of them do this kind of thing. And when they go to a new place, they understand the hunting game, the fishing game, that kind of stuff. And yes, they have some semi-permanent places, one major permanent settlement, but they don't have a lot of that. They are nomads by heart. And living off this land has defined who they are more than anything. That's the Varki people. Tough people of these northern ranges that deal with the ice and cold year-round. And they understand it. Also, the dangers of their understanding the fact that they are in the land of the Linorm Kings, where Linorms show up a lot too, understands why their coming of age is a bunch of kids coming together to kill a Remoraz. It's not an easy creature to kill. It's a dangerous thing. That's facing their lives. But it's a coming of age ceremony. It shows their ability to work together to take down a dangerous creature, to survive, and basically survive in this dangerous region. It's dangerous not only because of the weather, big thing. There are cold monsters up there. I hope you... Oh, sorry. I keep doing that. I've done that a lot of times. I hope you enjoyed today. I keep hitting the wrong button. This was an interesting one to talk about, and I've talked about Icemark separately. But I wanted to do another Human Ethnicity, and when I talked about Icemark, I decided to talk about the Varki. The Varki are their own unique people, and yes, they are related to Icemark very deeply, but they're separate from it too. It's this interesting thing of, like, there are some nations in the world where various ethnicities of people are highly tied to that nation. But it isn't just that people there. And I think that's an important thing to think about, is that a ethnicity of people are not just that nation. They do represent it sometimes, and it's almost talking about them separately is an important part about what I do. And I'm glad to have dived into that. Anyway, if you enjoyed today, remember to check out all my other content. If you want to see my schedule, it's up on YouTube, in my discussion page, Discord, I put it up there, and on my Twitter/X, I put it over there, so you can see what my schedule is. That's both my stream schedule and YouTube upload schedule. Keep in mind, it's got clauses for things that might delay stuff, but it's a general schedule that I do my best to, as long as nothing life-wise gets in the way, fit. Social media is a great place to see if there's any of those updates that might change my schedule, or just what's going on, thoughts, tactics, all that kind of stuff. Remember to, of course, do the various things to help out. Hey, if you're over on Twitch, just maybe a follow. If you're over on YouTube, liking, subscribing, ringing the bell. And my question today is, what do you think about the Varki people? Would you want to play one of them? Certainly there are Varki people that are related to major NPCs, and certainly there would be player characters that would be it. What do you think about them? And would you want to have adventures in that region there as one of them? I'm curious what you think of all this. Anyway, I'm going to get going. I'm going to hang out with Twitch a little bit. Maybe do another video. And until the next time we talk about Pathfinder, diving into Golarion, or go somewhere else, wherever we go, I bid you all a deep and wonderful farewell.